Okay, hey, so this is one of my more interesting videos. All my videos I think are pretty interesting, but this one seems more interesting than usual. So I know it's getting really close to Christmas. I'm pumping out some Christmas videos here. I don't know if you're watching this after Christmas some other time or not, but I didn't really want to put out too many Christmas videos because I didn't it's really close to Christmas, and I didn't know if it'd be too many videos. But this I had to do because I think it was really interesting. It's that what do the Royals do on Christmas? How do the Royals celebrate Christmas? So is it any different from how like usual people celebrate Christmas? Is it fancy? They dress everything in gold. Is it? Is there any? Are they handing out like Rolls Royces or what's happening? Well, it turns out it's not as different as you would think. And what happens like with the royal family is they all go to this special estate of theirs. So it's a Sandringham estate, and it's this Queen's Norfolk estate, which is about an hour or two north of London. They're actually told in the order that they have to arrive there and exactly what time they have to be there, depending on how important they are. The most important people arrive last, the least important people arrive first. So you can't just show up at any time or whatnot, and you probably don't want to be late for that. I don't think they're going to be happy. So then the other thing is when they start opening presents. Well, they actually start opening presents on Christmas Eve, just like in Germany where they had that tradition. And they have this 20-foot, which is a 6-meter Christmas tree, which is pretty tall. Most houses have like 8 or 9 foot ceilings, so this is like double what most ceilings are. It's a tall tree, and they actually cut that tree from the like this estate that they're on, this Sandringham estate, and they actually cut even more trees, I think, and they give them out to churches and schools and things. And the tree is actually usually decorated by the Queen herself, and she can get the help of like some younger members of the family too. Presents are usually opened around tea time. When they're opening the presents, everyone has like a spot to place their presents on this table. So they have to find their name on the table. The table's dressed with like these white linens too. It's called this trestle table too. And everyone kind of comes in at different times. They sneak down in the afternoon, putting their presents there. And then later on, when they convene, the Queen or Prince Philip gives this order to when they're to start opening their presents. And then afterwards, when they're done opening their presents, they leave the room and they actually go to dress up for dinner. And then they meet again in this saloon for drinks. And they're actually dressed like really formally with suits and ties, and the women are in gowns. And then afterwards, or at the same time, the Queen and Prince Philip and Prince Charles will drink martinis, while everyone else has this gin and tonic. The dinner table was actually where they're going to be at later, and it's actually decorated with these Christmas flowers from the nurseries on the same estate, and they have the finest china and silverware there too. They have the whole dinner by candlelight, and it starts at 8:30, which is quite late, depending on how you usually have dinner. Some of the things on the menu are Norfolk shrimps, lamb, or maybe they hunted down some animal, and then they follow that with this special caramelized apple tart. It's actually served upside down, and they call this the tart tartan. and they can put on it brandy cream or souffle and have that with it. And then usually they have champagne with the dessert, and they have white wine like the rest of the time. On Christmas Day, they wake up, they find like these stockings by their beds that have gifts there and fruit, and then they follow it up with like this full English breakfast that has eggs, bacon, sausage, fried bread, and mushrooms, and baked beans. And that's actually called this full English or full English fry up. And if you haven't heard of it, you can get it around hotels in England. At 11 a.m., they go to this morning service at the church on the estate. So there's a church on the estate. They go there. And the Queen actually has like a special private Holy Communion before the main service, where she gives the church this £10 note when the collection tray comes around. It used to be £5, but with inflation, I guess it moved up to £10 now. And then lunch is usually the big meal on Christmas Day. There's a lot of lunches. There's 5 lunches with different groups of people. So the first lunch is served with like the junior staff at 11 a.m. Then you got the senior footmen coming in like at 12 noon. And then the royal family actually comes at 1:15 p.m. in the afternoon. And then you got the junior kitchen staff coming in 2:15 p.m. And then the royal chefs finish off at 4 p.m. So for the royal Christmas dinner, dinner's really formal again. It's black ties and for the men, and then for the women, it's these evening gowns and diamond tiaras. And they usually have this traditional British Christmas dinner, which is usually meat and vegetables, usually 2 portions of vegetables, and that one of them is most of the time potatoes. And then they can put some sort of hot gravy, hot brown gravy they call it, on top of it. And at 1 p.m., that's when they have all that. And then they also have the huge turkey in there too, and with the meat, and it has everything included on it. And then at 3 p.m., as they're finishing up, they go to the saloon and they wait by the log fire there, and they watch for the Queen's Christmas Day speech to come on TV. And then for the rest of the day, they can play charades until midnight, and nobody's allowed to go to bed until the Queen actually heads out. And then on Boxing Day, they usually have this like shooting party, and then afterwards everybody leaves except for like the main family, and the Queen actually stays there until the first week of February, which is her accession date. And she keeps like the decorations up too for the Christmas until she leaves. And usually the Christmas and New Year's is celebrated at the Sandringham estate for the royal family. So this is part of my Christmas series. Take a look at some of my other Christmas videos, like where did Christmas lights come from, why red and green at Christmas, and what it's like for Christmas in Australia. And then you can check out some of my other non-Christmassy videos too, and subscribe.